Hi, this math review is about the laws of exponents. It's always good to keep these things in mind when we're doing our physics. So, what am I talking about when I say the laws of the exponents? Well, whenever we have variables which contain exponents and have equal bases, we can do certain mathematical operations to them. And that's what I'm talking about when I say the law of exponents. So, for example, when we have any number to a power, and this power is represented by a superscript, what this is telling us is it's this many times this base. So some vocabulary, the b here would be the base and the x would be the exponent. So for example, one of the things that we can do is if we have x to the m times x to the n, that's the same thing as x to the m plus n. We can simplify it that way. Or if we had xy, the quantity x times y to the mth power, that's the same thing as saying x to the m and y to the m. On number 3 here, we've got x to the m, and that whole quantity is to the nth power. Well, then we can just multiply the exponents, x to the m plus n, or not plus, x to the m times n. Number 4 here, we've got x over y to the mth power. We could rewrite that, simplify it as x to the m over y to the m. These bottom two are basically saying that when you have a fraction, you take the top number minus the bottom number, so x to the m minus 1. The second point here, 5b, is basically saying that if the n is bigger than the m, you're going to get a negative number, and any exponent that's negative goes in the bottom. So if we have x to the 0, that equals 1. Another property, x to the minus 1, is x in the bottom of the fraction. Okay, anything to the first power is itself. So normally we don't write the 1 exponent because it's just understood that if it's not there, it's a 1. Okay, so some examples of some of the things we just talked about. Here I have x squared times x cubed. That's going to give me the same base, so I can add the exponents. 2 plus 3 is 5, so I just get x to the 5th. X to the 4th, that whole thing cubed would just result in x to the 12th. I'm going to multiply those exponents. If I have xy to the 3rd, the quantity x times y cubed, then that's the same thing as x cubed times y cubed. The reason we're doing this is when we're doing our physics, sometimes when we see it that way, we'll go, oh, we have an x cubed, we can cancel that out with this other x cubed that we're dividing by. When it's in the first format, it might not be as obvious. So simplifying these things will often lead to simplifying the whole process of figuring out what our answer is. Okay, some more examples. Here we've got the fraction x over y to the 3rd power. That's the same thing as x to the 3rd divided by y to the 3rd. Okay, now this is where this becomes really helpful. This is something that's very common in physics. We'll have x to the 7th divided by x to the 4th, let's say. Well, in that case, we just take 7 minus 4, and we'll get x to the 3rd. Okay, here's a case where the exponent on the top is smaller than the exponent in the bottom. So again, I would just say 5 minus 7, which is negative 3. So that would be 1 over x cubed or x to the negative 3. You could write it either way. Okay, so some more examples here. You can see that when you have the a here, that's your common base. This number out in front, we can just take care of those that way. We're just adding our bases, and we get 14a to the 7. What if we had negative numbers? Well, no worries. We just take the negative 5 times the 8. Then our two bases here are the same. Oh, and I have a 2 here. So we're just going to do negative 5 times 8 times 2, and then we're going to add those and we could simplify it as 80r to the 7. Okay, 2m squared times n to the 5th cubed. Well, we've got to cube the 2. We've got to take 2 times 3, and we've got to take 5 times 3. So what we're going to get is 2 cubed m to the 6th n to the 15th. Okay, on this one, same sort of a deal. We're just going to take the 3, multiply it times all those. There's 1s here if it's not showing. So 3 times 1. So we get 27x cubed y cubed. Here we have this whole fraction squared. Well, we're going to have to square the 2, we're going to have to square the 3, square the a, and square the b. So we get 4a squared over 9b squared. Here we've got 8x to the 4th over 2x. Now we can subtract these exponents, the 4 and the 1. They have common bases. And then you just divide like normal for the 8 and the 2. So you're going to get 4x to the 3rd. Okay, well, what if you have a smaller exponent here than you do in the bottom? Well, that's not a problem. We just do the 9 divided by 3. We're going to have the z, 5 minus 3. So we get 3 over x squared. Now you could write that as 3 over x squared, or 3 times 1 over x squared, or you could even write it as 3 times x to the negative 2. All of those are appropriate ways to write it. Well, I hope that review helps, and we'll see you around.